Greetings, Mechwarriors, and welcome back to MW5. And I'm going to attempt the campaign because I haven't actually finished the main campaign in this. I did part of it, and then I got distracted by mods and playing around in the career mode. So, talking of mods, we'll quickly scroll down the ones that I actually have active. This is actually on the day the Von Biomes updated, so there'll be some new stuff there for me to see. But yeah, some of the major ones are Pilot Overhaul, the Yet Another series, No Tonnage Limit, which removes basically any penalties for going over tonnage, because in the context of the game, the tonnage limits don't make that much sense, but yeah, I'll try and respect them as a kind of difficulty, like a soft difficulty cap. But yeah, TT Rules AI Mod 2, that one significantly overhauls how the AI works. And there's some sort of graphical things like cockpit glass as a sound mod, a couple of other smaller mods. Advanced career starts are not going to matter for this, but it does let you have a little more control over starting a new career. So we're going to start off, we're going to go with a new campaign, and we're going to skip the tutorial because it's extremely basic. It's basically, here's how you fire your guns, and here are the lasers, and here are the pew-pew, autocannons, and here's how you move your mech, and etc.
In 2108,
I don't know why that's not disappearing.
Began colonizing the stars. Their reach would eventually span a vast region of space known as the Inner Sphere. During its golden age, under the governance of the Star League, the Inner Sphere experienced unprecedented peace, prosperity, and technological advancement. But with a great rise comes a great fall. Beset by greed and mistrust, humanity splintered. The Star League crumbled. Technological advancement slowed. The great houses, each vying for supremacy, turned on one another, engaging in a series of conflicts known as the Succession Wars. Amidst this chaos, mercenaries became the proxy forces for the great houses. Numerous battlefields sprung up across the Inner Sphere, dominated by hulking war machines known as battle mechs. The year is now 3015, and these steel behemoths have become the tools of the mercenaries' trade. It's a lucrative time, yet one beset with perils of all kinds. Only the most skilled and brave among them will rise to become legend.
Okay, so that's the setting intro. There is a lot of lore to this game. I kind of went on a bit of a deep dive after I started playing this, far more so than the when I played through the Harebrained Schemes Battletech, the turn-based one, which I can also very definitely recommend. That has a far better story to it. This is just much more kind of like you're directly controlling the mech, so it's sort of, I guess, as a veteran player of World of Tanks and World of Warships, it much more directly appeals to me rather than the more kind of strategic overview. Although there is a mod that tries to turn this game into a sort of real-time strategy. Anyway, we're about to get our story intro, so I will shut up again, and we'll see what's gonna happen.
You see anyone, son?
The salvage crates at the last checkpoint were empty. Something's up if they're missing payments.
This is Commander Mason of Major Campbell. Make a note. Looks like someone is gonna need a lesson in paying their bills on time.
That's odd. What the hell?
Commander Mason, I repeat, a massive invasion force is attacking the planet.
Acknowledged. I have a visual.
It's planet-wide, sir. We're evacuating.
We need to take what we have and go. The fastest way is across the swamp. Captain, where are you going?
It's possible they left the cash at the last checkpoint in the city. Let's get the money and run, Commander.
This is reckless. We need to get back to base.
They're distracted with the invasion. We'll be in and out before they know we're here.
Let's hope it's not us they're after. I don't like this, son. This is a ghost town.
We're close. I can smell the seatbelts.
There's nothing here.
Relax. We'll be out of here in no time.
Yeah, you can tell this is going to end well, can't you?
We're being tagged. Look out! Incoming airstrike! Captain Mason, what's your status?
I'm fine, Commander. Left arm is offline is all.
That was close. Return to base now.
I am not leaving you behind.
We were set up, and you're in no shape to fight. Meet me at the extraction point with the Leopard. Go! Now, Captain!
Damn it. On the move.
Commander, an enemy dropship is approaching your position. Move, now.
I've got eyes on. Identified. Hunchback and King Crab. Damn it! Brianna, any idea what these guys want?
I picked up some chatter about coordinates of some kind. That mean anything to you?
Coordinates? No, Brianna. Promise me you won't leave without Jake. Promise me.
Commander, I promise. Captain Mason, what's your status?
I've got a bug on my tail. Get the bay doors open. Coming in hot.
Casualty count is rising rapidly. Hurry!
En route.
Commander Jake is on board. We're taking off.
We can't leave him here. We gotta get him support. Dad, we're coming.
No, leave now. The Cavaliers need you. I'm leaving you in command. You're going to do great things. I just know it.
No!
I'm sorry, Captain. I have to get us out of here. Hold tight.
So there we are, that's our setup. Something happened, possibly we were targeted, or we got caught in the middle of something, but we don't quite know yet. This is also, by the way, I mean, it's the first Mechwarrior game in a while of that particular sub-series of the setting, shall we say. I think Mechwarrior 4 came out in the early 2000s, something like that. And the previous titles all had like a main Mechwarrior, and then sort of sequels that were, so there was like Mechwarrior 4 and then Mechwarrior 4, was it Black Knight, something like that, and Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries. For some reason with NW5 they went straight to just doing you're running your own mercenary company rather than a campaign based around any one of the houses or the clan invasions or anything like that. So it's sort of retreading ground in a way, and I will at some point. I don't know if I'll sit down and do it all at once, or if my thoughts will just like dribble out as I go along, if I can put it that way. But talk about the deficiencies of this game as well, because playing through this, it sort of made me slightly think, wow, this is all right. Like mechanically, the running around and blowing things up with robots is fine, but the actual sort of gameplay beyond that, it's a bit lacking. So yeah, this could have been a lot more interesting than it was. And even though modders have done good work with it, they'll never turn it into like Bannerlord in space or something like that. Anyway, let's talk to Rihanna, who is our sort of second in command, I guess, at this point, if we're in charge now. So let's see what she has to say.
Good to see you up. We haven't really had a chance to speak since your father was killed. I'm not much for sentimentality, but I worked with your father for a long time. He was a good man. Hell, he sacrificed his life to save ours. I don't know what's going to happen next, but whatever it is, I'd like to be part of it. I'd like to stay on as your ops commander. That is, if you'll have me.
You kidding me? Your family, Rihanna. Or as close as I have now. Besides, I'm gonna need you.
Yes, I suspect you will. About Sitrep, it's not great news. Those bastards that came after us are in the process of setting up a blockade of the system, which means we're going to be trapped here with a tightening noose around our necks unless we do something about it.
Who are these guys?
Another mercenary outfit by the looks of it. I don't know more than that at the moment.
And these coordinates they were looking for?
Not a clue, but we're going to find out. First things first, we need transport out of the system. That means a jump ship. I sent out a transmission right after the attack through the HPG. The message was for a long-time client of your father's and an old friend of mine. Name is Spears. He has powerful connections. I'm hoping he can help us out. Until I hear back from him, there's nothing we can do except lay low. In the meantime, Fahad wants to see you down in the hangar. The Centurion needs repairs and he wants to discuss them with you. I'll let you know when I hear back from Spears.
Copy that.
Okay, so let's go and talk to Fahad, who is basically the only other character on the ship that we get to talk to that has any kind of voiced lines. It's pretty sparse in that regard, and in a way it's nice that you get to sort of look at okay, that costume's gone a bit wonky. It's nice that you get to like look around and sort of get a feel for the scale of the mechs. Although one of the things I've read about the game, there's actually mods that rescale things, because apparently the scale of a lot of the mechs is incorrect in terms of how tall they are versus how tall they're supposed to be. Although, again, apparently that's a bit nebulous in terms of supposed to be. So modders have taken some best guesses in some circumstances. There is a bit of this game definitely still has a few bugs, like when you're going between campaign saves, you can maybe recognise the part of the colours from the other video. For some reason, if you do anything with setting custom colours, it sort of copies them over, even though you haven't, even though you've started a brand new campaign. For some reason the colours kind of follow you around. So I haven't actually changed anything yet so far, it's just that's a bug. Anyway, let's speak to this dude.
Hey, mate. Figured you'd want an update on the Centurion. Took a bloody beating back there, so fair warning. It's gonna be a while before she's operational again. Means you're gonna have to get comfortable with the light mech over in Bay 1 for now. She's a good girl. Won't let you down, you treat her right.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, heard that before. Anyways, you know the drill. Access the repair terminal here. Once you're done, I'll get started on the work, okay?
So, you can look at your mechs this way, which is quite nice, and we'll skip through the tutorial stuff. Yeah, I'll fix the paint schemes in a minute, but yeah, this is just a way of accessing this screen, so we don't actually physically have to be at that terminal. But yeah, it's sort of, it's okay, I guess. It's nice to have a physical space to walk around, but it would be nice if there was more in that space. Anyway, let's repair the mech, and actually, let's go to loadout, and we can take a look. So basically, this is, I think I showed all this off on the other videos I did, all the Yet Another Mech Lab stuff, so it adds the full Mech Lab experience, essentially. The other major mods that do this are the Merc-Tech mod, and it's got a kind of prominent submod, Pirate Tech, I think it's called, as well, which basically pretty much do the same things. They add different components, different mechs, and I think they take it in potentially slightly a different way. So if I do a follow-on career mode after the campaign, it'll probably be using Merc-Tech just to see what that's like. So, the armor on this is not that great. It's a medium mech. It's all right. We actually have a bunch of quirks, which are a tabletop thing, which aren't in the base game. So, for instance, the Centurion has a higher repair cost, but it also gets bonus armor on its left arm, and it has improved targeting as well, which is actually quite a nice one, especially the 10% cooldown modifier. We don't have anything we can put in any of these yet, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up some house rules for myself just to spice things up a bit. At least to start with, I am going to refrain from doing any radical modifications on mechs. I'm basically going to keep them as is, apart from upgrading the quality of weapons. So if I get a higher quality AC-10, for example, I will to drop that in here, and that's fine. But I'm not going to, for instance, swap it out with one of these things that are available on the local market. So that's kind of a flavour thing, and it will constrain me somewhat. It means I'm not going to be able to have any wacky Urbies that can run around at 80 kmh or anything like that. And what I'm also going to do maybe later on is once I have now we can't actually go to the barracks yet, but once I've attained sufficient familiarity with a mech, at that point perhaps I will allow myself to customize it and maybe make it more something like a hero mech, because the company that made this actually also is the company that made Mechwarrior Online, so they basically carry a lot of the non-canonical unique mechs over from Mechwarrior Online into this game. Also, actually, before I go up, I'll fix the paint scheme right now, because that's going to bug me otherwise. That's not a great look. So let's do that. Right, let's chat to Rihanna again.
Hey, Commander. I've received a transmission from Spears in response to my request for help. Take a listen.
Rihanna, I received your message. I'm sorry to hear about Nikolai. He was a good man, and an even better pilot. He'll be sorely missed. I assume his son will be taking over the operation. Nikolai was always bragging about the boy's skills. Well, I hope he was right. I've begun working on a plan to get you safe passage out of the system, but it's going to take a little time. I expect you already know by now that whoever attacked you has set up a blockade to prevent your escape. It's a large system, though, so we can use that to our advantage. As soon as you receive this, I want you to proceed to the outermost planet in the system. It's little more than a hunk of ice with a few leftover mining operations on it. There's an abandoned power station there. Now, I've got it on good authority that local raiders are using it as a secret cache for their ill-gotten goods. I know you can use supplies and materials for your repairs, and I expect you'll find what you need at that location. I've attached the exact coordinates to this message. Once I have a proper plan in place, I'll contact you again. For now, be safe.
All right, time to suit up, Commander. I've already input the coordinates. All I need is for you to sign off and get us there.
Understood.
Okay. Now, that guy's voice, by the way, that seems really familiar somehow. Oh, no, that's... Oh, is this supposed to pop up? We'll leave it at balanced for the time being. Yeah, this is part of the mech lab settings. I might tweak things a bit later on because it does aim to make it a bit harder in terms of the financial gameplay, because the vanilla gameplay is extremely generous with its C-bills, and there aren't any real settings that let you tweak that at all. So yeah, there aren't actually any difficulty settings in this game. Just full stop. So yeah, the only real way you can tweak things is to tweak the economic side of things. One way in which I have made it easier is I've halved the cost of doing jumps, because jumps by default I think 50k per hop, and they can get quite expensive. So especially for the early game, having that be halved is useful, but the rest of the gameplay is going to be a lot more expensive. Especially in terms of storage and the rest of it. Anyway, right, so we're going to get a paltry 50k C-bills, and this is actually going to be a bit tough because we're just going to have one light mech to work with. And I was wondering, to be honest, if it would be possible, because with the career mode, one of the nice things about MW5 is it's got kind of a built-in New Game Plus, where once you go into the career mode, you can basically import the data from a previous save, whether that be a campaign or a career save. So if you want to start with a specific set of mechs, you can set that up in another file and then start the career mode with those mechs. But there's no option to do that in the campaign, sadly. So I did have thoughts of starting off with like a set of urban mechs or something like that, but no, in the campaign that's just impossible. Right, so we're doing this on behalf of a company, a corporate employer, of which I honestly think there should be more of. There is a campaign pack thing that, well, career mission expansion pack thing that, again, is a mod, obviously, that aims to increase the variety of missions, but I seem to remember reading in the description it didn't play that well with it. Like, it was really meant for the career rather than the campaign, so that's not one I'm going to be using. But yeah, the game doesn't do nearly as much with its settings as it could do. Let's put it that way. Like, there is such a rich amount of history and lore with this universe, and this game it barely uses any of it, to be honest. There's some fluff text, but apart from that, you get on a news ticker, and even that runs out in 3049. So yeah. Anyway, so this is the Nyx Cavaliers livery that we're sticking with for now, but I think I've set up one that... Well, we'll see what people think. But yeah, we also are starting to see pilot skills coming into it. And as you can see, well, we've got basic level skills out of everything. Even though apparently I'm quite good, and, you know, worked with my father and he trusted me enough to put me in a Centurion. Apparently I'm actually quite basic at this. I'm also unfamiliar with this mech, so that actually has penalties, but as you play more in individual mechs, you actually then get buffs all the way up to mastery, and I think you need to have done something like 200 missions, around 200 missions in a mech before you get to that mastery level, and it's like plus 15, plus 20% to all the stats that you see there. So, and that goes for all pilots with the pilot skills mod. None of this is in vanilla, which is frankly a shame. So it really does then pay to keep your pilots in the same consistent couple of mechs as it were. You do pick up some class knowledge, so if you extensively play with one light mech and then jump into another light mech, some of that skill does transfer over. It's not like completely individual to each mech, but yeah, the more you play with an individual mech, the better you'll get at that individual mech. So that's one of the other house rules. I'm going to try and basically keep pilots in the same mechs where at all possible to maximise on that. And that sort of fits for the setting as well, because basically pilots and got to sort of like, you know, they were given a mech and it was like, okay, this is your mech, you have to get good with this mech now. And yeah, they didn't have the option to go chopping and changing. So we're going to do that a bit. So as you can see, we've got some environmental effects going on. So this is a modded thermal vision. There's also night vision, which is not that good. Again, that's the modded version of night vision. I think the stock version of night vision is actually a bit more useful. But yeah. The thermal vision generally is a lot more useful than the night vision. Don't think I've really used the night vision much at all. Anyway, so there's also different views. I do have a mod that didn't show up on the mod list that actually, well, I probably won't get to see it that much, but it puts an inverse kinematic motion model onto the mech, so they sort of look like they're properly following the terrain more. Right, so I'm going to stop blabbering and actually concentrate on what I'm doing a bit. Now, one of the reasons why this is going to be much more tricky early game is because all of these things have got triple health compared to the stock game. In the stock game, these guys are just basically cannon fodder, and yeah, you don't really have to worry too much about them. But because you have this malus in terms of the amount of like, you basically have the malus to how you're performing in the mech early on, and then everything is tougher to kill. So the early game actually, because I did like a little test run of this to see what it'd be like, so the early game is going to be potentially a little bit tricky. We may even have the potential of mission fails or restarts. But let's do an alpha strike on that. I could put them all in the same group and just make them chain fire, but yeah. I don't tend to use the chain fire. There's a couple of mechs I have used that on where it's been more useful. Right, so basically, right, so that's knocked out the turrets. We don't need to worry about them anymore. They can't. Well, this group anyway can't shoot at me. Let's take a pot shot at that guy. He is absolutely fine. This is, I don't know if it's quite as pronounced as Battletech, Harebrained Schemes Battletech, but I think the sort of general environmental temperature does have an effect on the sort of base level of cooling of your mech. So if you're in a hot environment, your mechs generally will run hotter. And so that's a thing to be aware of. But it can be an advantage in cool environments, but of course it's an advantage for everybody. Right, so let's just blast these generators.
Time to smash and grab, Commander.
And we've got some loot to grab as well. Oh, that's actually quite worth it for me. There are various mods that also, like, this is just a thing that you find, these loot pickups. But yeah, there's ones that change that as well. Because I don't know what lists they operate off, but oh, where are you? Alright, we're already red on our torso armor. It's not great. What did it want to destroy? Oh, those things. Right, let's shoot the guy that's shooting at me first. Centered torso armor's not doing that well. I need to get better at the whole, the torso twist to sort of distribute. Like, that's something I've not been that good at doing, to be honest. Which I think is, like, if I was coming to this from having played lots of Mechwarrior Online, and I have played Mechwarrior Online, but not particularly extensively, and it was a while ago, so yeah, it's much more of a thing there. But I think even compared to earlier Mechwarrior games, which I have watched some videos of, like the damage model in this game has never been particularly sophisticated, and I think that's just a straight carryover from the tabletop. It doesn't worry itself with penetration mechanics, with ricochet angles, with anything like that. Armor is basically hit points. It's not super sophisticated, and it really never has been. So it's kind of World of Tanks style rather than War Thunder style, put it that way. You don't have to worry about the fact that your angling versus somebody is not great. And hell, even World of Tanks style, you know, armor angling and penetration still makes a difference. But it's just not a thing. It's about distributing the damage to your hit points, so they're not hitting your center torso over and over. Because you can lose limbs, although losing legs is usually kind of fairly fatal. But if you lose the torso, that's especially fatal. You might not punch out in time. If you lose the cockpit, well, then there's a good chance that the pilot will die if they get taken out by a cockpit snipe. But I think, much like Harebrained Schemes Battletech, I think that doesn't actually matter. I think your Commander Mason character basically is immortal. They'll only ever be incapacitated. Right, what am I being... You've got like a machine. Oh, you've got machine guns. That's where that effect is coming from. Low damage, high DPS weapons. Again, like I was talking about with the fact that there's really no kind of armor pen. The fact that can basically be firing 50 cals at, like, if you fire 50 cals at a modern MBT, for example, you're not going to wear it down over time. Like, you might wreck some of the stuff that's on the MBT, but like, you're not going to pen the armor. It's not going to work that way. So it's a bit silly that it kind of can in this. You can just mount a crap ton of MGs on something and you'll have actually a pretty effective mech. Yeah, it's rather silly. Right, what am I looking for here? Oh, wreck the weapons depot. This is just kind of a tutorial for one of the mission types where, yeah, sometimes they'll want you to go all smashy. And that's fine. We can do smashy. Right, I've got to be careful here. We've actually lost armor on one of our legs. We'll see if we can maybe just outrun these guys. Because, yeah, I don't really have the armor for stand-up fights. And I've blown a lot of my armor already, and if they start concentrating on... like, if they take out one leg, then that would be very, very bad for me. That would slow me a lot. So, yeah. And this is a light mech as well. This is a 30-ton mech, so it kind of relies on its speed. It really doesn't have a lot of armor to go for it. Although that's another thing that has confused me, and that the setting itself seemed a little bit confused about. The tonnage. So you get sort of 20-ton mechs up to 100-ton mechs, and I think canonically there are experimental mechs that are even heavier. But when you look at the size of these things and the amount of stuff and armor that they must carry, it's hard to figure out if a 30-ton mech is meant to weigh 30 tons or if it's that it carries 30 tons of stuff on its frame. 30 tons of, the armor and the engine and all of the weaponry and that. So, I mean, is it meant to be 30 tons, or is it meant to be the real sort of the true weight is more than 30 tons, but it only carries 30 tons of stuff? Anyway, not a lot of salvage from that. 1 M laser and some very basic S lasers, so we'll just take those 3. Skill level up. We have a wage cost, even though we don't actually, we don't have a personal bank account that goes into or anything like that. So, yeah, so there we go. Total payout more than covers our rewards, which is nice. And that's the 50k C bill, so we'll need to go and repair. Even though there is the fully walkable hangar, you can roam around the interior of your Leopard. For the most part, I think we're going to be looking at this screen here. So let's repair that. I think that is purely just repairs. Just armor repairs, that's fine. Also got something on the news ticker. So this is about the only amount of lore fluff that you get in the game. It doesn't you can't click on planets and see if there's anything particularly significant about planets. It doesn't even mark out the capitals of the various the various major factions or even the minor factions. So the amount of information they use from the setting, like I said, it can feel pretty sparse. But this is one of the few areas in which they have tried to do something with it. So new mechs being unveiled and things like sort of various newsworthy events that are happening in the world will get marked in the news ticker, basically. So we have a little bit of prior news. And we actually, I think, get our... oh no, Anton Marek, okay, the Wolf's Dragoons, Mac Rebellion. So this is stuff that's sort of contemporaneously happening. I guess we're not important enough to be noted. Even though apparently we were doing well enough to have our own Leopard jump ship and have our own base that got destroyed, which is kind of what you see in the tutorial, and have well, apparently not that many mechs, but I take that as maybe those are the mechs that got left behind kind of thing, and these are the only 2 mechs that we actually managed to get out with. Anyway, let's go speak to Fahad again. Right there.
Hey, boss man, that was quite the haul you brought back. Gonna make the repairs a bit easier now. But don't go getting stars in your eyes or nothing. I'm overworked as it is, and this ship needs a lot of loving, eh? So your Centurion is still gonna take plenty of time to fix. But yeah, like I said, nice job out there. Your old man will be proud. Now if there's nothing else, gonna get back at it, alright? Lot of work to do. Story of my life.
So that's basically his main character trait. He complains a lot. You don't really get to know much about either of these characters. If they have any kind of particular backstory, how they came to work for your father. None of that. The game is incredibly sparse when it comes to basically fleshing out any of its campaign stuff.
Good work with those raiders, Commander. While you were planetside, I got word from Spears about the plan he's put in place for us. Take a listen.
Rihanna, Commander, good news. I think I can get you safely past the blockade with the aid of a local mining company. To make everything work, I'm gonna have to find you guys a recycled mercenary identification number. A new identity, essentially. Nyx Cavaliers, for all intents and purposes, no longer exists. I'll match that number to a new name of your choosing once the time comes. So, think about what you want to call yourselves. While I arrange that, you're gonna have to do a little work for the mining company in exchange for their cooperation. Things go well, they've agreed to hire you to transport some precious cargo out of the system aboard an inbound jump ship. Using the new mercenary ID and with a legitimate contract in hand, you should have no problem slipping through the blockade. I've attached the particulars to this message. I'll be in touch once you've completed the mission. Good luck.
I already reviewed the information Spears sent. The mission is a straight-up protect and defend op. Seems these raiders have been harassing the mining company, among others. Stealing from them, extorting them, killing innocent civilians when their demands weren't met. I've uploaded the pertinent details into the mission briefing, so I won't repeat them here. You're good to launch anytime, Commander.
Roger that. I'll see you on the other side.
Okay. So, this is again going to be only using the assassin. It'd be pretty fun if you could do these starting missions with an Irby instead. Extremely slow, but the YAML mods turn the Irby into basically a low tonnage monster. It gets a significant buff to its armor. And although it doesn't have a lot of endurance, it fits a lot better with the tabletop version of the Irby, as I understand it. Very low endurance in terms of its ammo loadout, but it's a wee monster in terms of its actual ability to take damage. And the weaponry it does have is not insignificant. Right, so once again we'll go with the C-Bill payout, because we're going to need all of the C-Bills that we can get. And we'll probably have to wait a little bit. Yes, we will. We're already starting to get some proficiency with this particular mech as well. Although I'm not going to stick with the Javelin. Having said what I've said, once we get the Centurion back in order, I think that'll be the mech we'll be using for at least a little while. We might even just straight up sell the Javelin, because I'm not a huge fan of the very light mechs. There's some of them that are decent. I do like the Irby, as you may have noticed from the previous videos, but there's some other ones like the Commando that are okay. And the Jenna, but that comes with a little asterisk, by which I mean the clan Jenna that you get later on. Much later on. We're probably not going to see any clan Jennas in the course of the campaign, but who knows, we might be playing it for that long. Right, so this is a straight up defense mission. Basically, try and keep the place from getting completely destroyed, and you can of course end up doing damage to the facilities yourself, so you have to be a bit careful about where you're firing. Whereas of course the people who are trying to destroy the place have no such qualms. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. But hopefully I can have it not lose too much health.
There's the settlement up ahead, Commander.
Generally, I think, I don't know if it's going to apply to this, but there's bonuses for keeping over certain thresholds, so I think 80% and 60% are the two thresholds when you're doing it normally. Are you too far outside of my... I think you are. I don't have anything fancy like extended range pulse lasers or any such thing just yet. Right, so let's keep you things. There is one advantage in that they're trying to blow up the base, so their fire is a little bit more scattered. Hopefully, there we go. Let's go down. I'm not the best at using the melee, but it's apparently... I didn't even realise this, but apparently it's not a thing that's even in Mechwarrior Online, so yeah, I think a lot of fans of the universe have got mixed feelings about this game, because there's some things it does better than MWO, which was one of the main ways you could do video game Mechwarrior things for a long while. Although having said that, there's also a free project that runs, I think it's like CryEngine, or like originally started off as a mod basically, and it's actually sort of been officially endorsed by I want to say, was it Microsoft, or it was somebody that basically said yes, okay, we are happy with this project existing. I think it's Living Legends Yeah, that's it, Mechwarrior Living Legend. So that's a free one you can go and play. That it's sort of a slightly older looking game, but it also lets you do things that I don't think really many other games do, or maybe any other Mechwarrior Universe games have done, which is let you play in vehicles and VTOLs and things, not just in mechs. So yeah, if you want to be on the side of like this guy right here, instead of me being in my cockpit, you can do. Well, I've already, again, taken a fair bit of damage, but yeah, this just does not have a lot of armour on it. It sort of relies on not getting hit too much. Ooh, just at the limits of my... Can we sort of jump up and... jump up and punch the VTOL? You probably could. Right, there we go. Right, we're down to about 2/3 on this mining complex. Take out the SRM carrier, that's the weaker vehicle. Some of the tanks, especially with the HP buff, are downright nasty. They are still just bags of hit points, basically. And I think Merc Tech is a bit more nuanced. I think Merc Tech makes it a bit more like HBS Battletech. And also, I mean, the mods themselves take, I think, a few cues from particularly the Rogue Tech mod for HBS Battletech, which, again, just added, like, oodles more depth to things. And so they actually have like different armor zones, much like the mechs. They're not just a single bag of hit points like World of Tanks. So if you are trying to deal with vehicles, you have to sort of aim for specific parts of vehicles to blow through their armor. But we don't have to worry about that, we just have to worry about hitting them. Anyway, let's get to the next objective. Already sort of slightly worryingly low on armor, but I will not be surprised if we end up losing some components.
Understood. Brianna, my sensors are getting worse.
The jamming device the Raider set up is at the top of this pass, Commander.
Yeah, we're going to blow that up. ECM interference is a thing. And YAML does add a bunch of ECM equipment. Right, should we just try and bypass these guys rather than fighting them? Oh. Of course, it does not mean I'm getting shot in the back. Oh, that's too far. That's too far. Whoop. We may have slightly bypassed the place we were supposed to. Yeah, that's the problem with jump jets. Gonna end up taking you places you didn't quite mean to go. We'll go back up this way. It's one of the objectives we have to complete, so yeah. Right, hello, yes, you want to shoot me, and I don't like that very much. And then punch this thing. And then just jump off the edge. Hopefully not fight those guys.
Yeah, much better.
Right, so that's our defense area down there. You can take damage if you basically fall too far without the aid of jump jet. So you can jump off things and it won't completely wreck you, but it will do damage to your leg armor in particular. So again, not super realistic, but I mean the whole basic premise of the series is not super realistic. It's a fun setting and it's got a lot of lore, but in terms of realism, you know, it's a bit more grounded than something like Warhammer 40k, for example. And it's certainly, you know, it doesn't have horrors from beyond the warp or psychers or anything like that, but it's still not exactly a super hard sci-fi setting. But it certainly feels a lot more real, just because there's a lot of like the whole thing of the setting is the mechs, basically. It's all about the military hardware. Even if you do look at the military hardware and sometimes think, well, that's a giant shot trap, or how is that supposed to deflect any incoming shots? So, it's fine. You just kind of don't worry about it. Just don't think about it too hard. It's fine. Right. Oh, we've actually lost an arm. Our lasers are torso mounted though, but our front torso ain't looking so hot either, so this might be a redo if we get blown up completely, because yeah, these aren't forces we can just use our mobility to jump past. We are having to take out everything essentially. And if I remember correctly, there is a mech fight at the end of this as well. So, yeah, it's not just... Oh, okay, we've only got one arm to punch things with now. Right, LRMs are a bit easier to deal with because we have fewer hit points. Well, that's fine. And give you a little punchy. The base game is a bit... It was one of the slightly cheeky things they did in that the base game... There's a bunch of mechs that have slots for melee stuff, and the basic melee of just hit things with fists is definitely in the base game, but all of the melee weapons and stuff that are in the setting, you have to buy a DLC for that. So if you want a mech with an axe or a sword or anything like that, like those exist in the setting canonically, but in game you have to pay extra for it. But I bought the game, and I think I bought one of the DLC full price, and then I ended up buying the other two at the point where they were on sale. The spring summer sale on Steam. So the spring summer sale was well timed. I figured I was enjoying it well enough that I would buy the things for half off. They did actually, I think, since the release of the game, I think one of the complaints was that it was relatively high priced for what it was. They actually put down the base cost of the game, which was probably annoying if you bought it for full price, but the actual price is I think a fairer price for what it is, which is basically a sandbox. It's a big fun sandbox with a bit of a thin story to it. Oh, those are SRM2s. Those are not nice. Go away, stop pew-pewing me, I don't like it. Oh no, that's a leg gone. That might be a death sentence. Yeah. We are now considerably slower than we were. We're basically limping along. Torso armor is done. We might just get blown up. Oh yeah, Eagles are nasty. AC2s are basically like, I think they're meant to be like 20mm cannons, something like that. And again, the way it works with, I mean, the silliest example is the machine guns, but yeah, you look at things like AC2s or whatever and you think, okay, if I've got this much armor, if it's supposed to be like super duper amazing armor, it's going to make some pock marks, maybe, but it's not going to just go blah 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 blah, oh, all my armor's gone. But in game it does. Anyway, I think I must have been thinking of another mission where we have to fight a mech at the end. So there we go. We took a reasonably substantial amount of damage, but hopefully the payout will cover it. I'll take a couple of... in fact, yeah, we'll take the medium lasers there. Because one of the things we can do... Oh, yeah, that. Oh, we just cover it. That's going to be expensive. Okay, so... yeah, we then have to go and do... the last mission of the sort of intro. Actually, what we can do, this is part of YAML, is you can basically combine weaker versions of things to make better versions of things. So we can combine the medium lasers. So this is why I'm allowing myself to do better versions of the weapons that are already on there. But I'm not going to go too wacky to begin with. So what we can do is we can put on the better medium lasers, and they basically have sort of more efficient heat generation, slightly better damage, slightly better rate of fire. So it's not a huge improvement, but by the time you get to the 6th level versions, or the tier 6 versions, or is it tier 5? I don't know. You start off at tier 0 and then it's like 1, 2, 3. I guess it's tier 5 versions. Yeah, they are definitely way better than the tier 0 versions. So, yeah, we can also see what's on the market. Short burst laser. If I do buy anything at the moment, it'll be purely for the purposes of like combining to make better versions for later on, but at the moment it's not really worth buying things for that. We're pretty tight on money as it is, so that's going to take a while, and that's going to take a while. So let's see what Rihanna has to say. Yeah, it's looking a bit beat up. Having an arm blown off and a leg severely damaged will do that.
It turns out the bastards who attacked us and who have set up the blockade are a mercenary outfit by the name of Black Inferno. Unfortunately, that's about all we know at the moment. Spears and I will try to dig up more information if we can. The time will come when we can extract some proper vengeance, but right now we have more pressing concerns. Inferno forces are closing in on our location. That means we only have a small window in which to fulfill our obligations to the mining company and haul ass out of here. The company wants us to take down the raiders for good by destroying their base of operations. Once that's done, they'll arrange passage for us aboard the inbound jump ship. I've detailed the mission briefing and it's waiting for your sign-off. You're free to launch whenever you're ready, Commander.
Roger that.
So let's have a look-see. The Centurion's ready, that's fine, and we now have this last contract. And it's a good thing the Centurion's working and fixed, because, well, the Javelin's now beat up for over a month. We have negotiation. Oh yeah, we've got 3. Let's go with damage coverage. I'm not that worried about salvage shares at this early stage of things. Money is going to be more useful, and the damage coverage is basically just like a bonus insurance payout, essentially. So, Centurion is going to load any second now, and it's actually just 1 day away from being fixed, so that's fine. One thing I did note in the intro movie is that for some reason the Centurion, as it was shown there, wasn't in the Nyx Cavalier's colours. Don't know if that's an oversight or if there was some purposeful reason for that, but it does strike me as being a bit weird. So we're in the Centurion for the first time. All-round a more capable mech. And we now have an AC-10, some medium lasers, and a long-range missile launcher on the 3 key, so that is fine. It's a significant upgrade in firepower. That's too close for the LRMs. Took a little bit of damage, but yeah, it's this mech is basically the Rafael Nadal of mechs. If you've ever seen Rafael Nadal, you'll know what I mean. I mean, a lot of tennis players do have one arm. You know, they're basically their racket arm tends to be noticeably more buff than their other arm. So, yeah, that's certainly true with the Centurion. Anyway, so we now have ballistics which require ammo. We don't have the ability to jump out the way anymore, so we're now much more relying on our armor and our firepower, essentially, to to deal with threats. We don't have the mobility at all. The mobility of this is not bad, but the 64 kph speed is much more of a kind of standard speed. It's not either fast or slow for a medium mech. Oh, now I think you can damage mechs by stomping on them, but it's kind of hard to do in the cockpit view, which I tend to use. I mean, if the reason I'm playing this over HBS Battletech is basically, you know, I want to feel like I'm sat in the cockpit of a mech and stomping around the place. So that's some damage taken already, which is not great, because I think this is the mission where we face a mech at the end. It's basically the game. I mean, it does. I'll give it its due. I think it introduces the early game to you fairly well. You basically start off facing vehicles, which in vanilla they really are just kind of, like I said, cannon fodder. You don't have to particularly worry about vehicles. The weapon systems are, you know, they can be a threat if they're given long enough, but vehicles themselves go down pretty easy. But of course, they live a lot longer with the mods installed. So, in fact, you can even change that multiplier even more if you want. You're too far away to unfortunately use, or too close to unfortunately use the LRMs. And the Eagles are nasty because they pack a bunch of those AC2s. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not very good at remembering to wiggle around, but maybe I might get better at it. So what I can do here, because this is in lower ground, what we can do is, instead of going down there and getting into the mosh pit with a bunch of vehicles and having limited room to maneuver, because this is another blow up everything kind of mission, we can try and... Oh, is that another top? We can try and do it from the higher ground instead. But we have a limited amount of... oh, that's a vehicle. Oh, yeah, sometimes, like, weapon placement, a lot of the time it's not gonna matter that much, but sometimes it does matter. So, whether guns are mounted high or low, torso or arms, like, sometimes actually that can affect, you know, like if you can peek over a terrain and fire or not. Oh, is that another... And these guys have got a lot of VTOLs. Oh, it's not VTOLs, it's... I was looking up. No, it's a dude that's right in front of you. Now, the AT-10, I think, canonically is like a 105mm gun. So they're basically using existing tank calibers. But then you've got the slower firing, heavier hitting rifles, which I don't know if it's supposed to be... if those are sort of bigger or heavier shells or whatever. And then later on you get things like the hypervelocity autocannons and rotary autocannons, and yeah, it can get a little bit confusing if you don't know the setting. I think possibly there can be a slightly overwhelming different variety of weapons. It's one of those things where having done a bit of a binge on YouTube channels like the Black Panther Legion and was it like Big Red 40K or something, and there's a bunch of others. And also, and I was aware of this way back when, way before my current binge on Battletech Lois, that the Sana.net wiki is incredibly comprehensive. It's probably one of the best fandom wikis on the internet in terms of just how sort of comprehensive and curated it is. Right, so they're firing at me a bit, which is, you know, unpleasant, but I can actually just sit up here and like have some cover and don't have to have a lock-on to fire your LRMs. So they will sort of follow the front of the cursor. If you do have a lock-on, they'll go for that. Right, I think eventually they will find their way up here, so I can take these vehicles down as well. I have to remember there's a bit of drop-off with the... Yeah, it doesn't do separate reticles for... Oh, yeah, talking of, there's one that has found its way up here. It doesn't do separate reticles for missiles and lasers and whatever. So lasers, obviously, you know, just go straight to the target, whereas ballistics, yes, there is ballistic drop to account for, so... yeah, oh, we've lost leg armor, that's not good. PPC, this guy's got a PPC, yeah, okay, and we've lost arm armor. Some of the tanks are very nasty. This mission, yeah, the fact that we've lost this much armor now, the fact that we've then got to fight our first mech fight after this could be a problem. We may have to redo this fight, but I guess we'll see. Yes. We're halfway there on the settlement health though. We've taken out most of the defenders, I think. I don't think there's any salvage down there for me to worry about, so yeah. Me actually being down there isn't necessarily gonna... like I'm not missing anything not being down there. Right. Red pipes go boom, by the way. It's the universal video game. If it's painted red, it will go boom. And sometimes it will make things around it go boom as well. And that's especially useful if, you know, there's enemy units sat nearby it, but also it can be painful if you're sat nearby it and you go boom. So sometimes there's like fuel tankers and pipes and things, and if you're too close when you blow them up, or if you walk over them, it will actually damage you. But alas, the ability to, like, there's no missions that are like, hey, set up a trap with a bunch of environmental stuff, like that kind of thing just isn't really part of the mission design generally. Right, this tank is nearly done. Right, I think we can now just blow up things in peace. More goes boom. %, that should be it.
Now get to the extraction zone.
Right, so we are kinda beat up. If we lose the left arm, doesn't matter that much. I mean, it's expensive, but it's literally just replacing the arm component. We're not losing any weapon systems along with it. But the other arm does contain the AC-10, and that would be a bit painful to lose. I think we have one replacement AC-10 in stock, and the LRMs are torso mounted, so they're fairly safe for now. Oh, hello, Sam. One of the... I did a silent edit before where I had to get up and let Sam in. So, yeah. He's now in and clearly demanding attention because he is the Lord and Master. And how dare I ignore him to look at the glowy screen thing when clearly he's so much more interesting.
I'm detecting an unknown battle mech.
Right, so we've got more vehicles. They just spawn out of nowhere. I think they do. I think the game does that. It just kind of spawns stuff in out of nowhere. Right, that's the flyers down. This is not great. But if we can come through this in, like, with not having to restart it. Oh, we're out of Oh no, we're not out of. Well, we were almost out of AC-10 ammo, but yeah, the arm got blown off.
These raiders somehow got their hands on a spider mech.
Right, so the spider is reasonably fast. We've got one vehicle behind us that might hit us in the back, but are you all right up there? I think even with the TT Rules AI mod, like compared to vanilla AI, it's a lot better. I think it's that it sort of improves your landscape AI, but it obviously does, in theory, affect the opponent AI as well. Yeah, I haven't seen that happen before. This is new. It's doing something, and I'm not entirely sure what. And again, tutorializing and saying, hey, if you knock out legs, do component damage, that can help. So if you take out a side torso, for example, you might knock out weapon systems. I really don't know what this mech is doing. This is kind of weird. Yes, hello, Sam. Meow, meow. Are you very fluffy? Oh, there's another spawn. Scorpion light tank, that's less of an issue. Maybe if I don't know, maybe it's sort of gone all the way around or something. Yeah, I know, Samuel, it's very strange. It's very odd mech behaviour. What is it, Sam? Poor boy, am I ignoring you? Will you not have it? Are we going to have to go hunting for this mech? I think we are. We literally cannot finish this mission until I destroy this mech. And I don't know if it's going to keep spawning stuff in, or if this is stuff that was already spawned in that I just have to deal with. Right, so that's AC-5 machine gun. We don't particularly want to get hit by that. And we only have one punch available. Oh, actually, no, we have no punches available. We've lost our arms. So basically, I'm just now reliant on the medium laser cooldown. Yeah, we're looking a little bit wrecked right now. Losing the AC-10 is definitely a pain. Where has this little spider gone? Oh, there you are. You finally appeared from somewhere. Right, so... Ooh. Oh, that wasn't properly locked on. Be nice if there was sort of proper lock-on tones, like... I mean, even War Thunder has like radar lock-on tones and things like that, and there's like the interface in this is decent enough, but you know it could be better. Maybe there's mods that add that. Right, if I can take out his legs, basically, I think that's my best bet rather than. We're both taking heavy damage. Right, here's limping. There we go. Once you get better piloting skills with mechs, and especially once your sort of general pilot skill goes up, so not just sort of synergizing with a particular mech, but yeah, it essentially increases your chance to dodge, which it can look a bit odd in that it's sort of almost like it's very video gamey. It's almost like a sort of D&D almost. So instead of being, well, the things will always go where I shoot them, yeah, the enemies will shoot at you and you'll see the lasers sort of look like they're coming out sideways. So it's almost like Water Tank's RNG, except it sort of more gets applied to enemies as your own pilot skill goes up. So it again, it's very video gamey, but it's also one of these things that's very definitely carried over from the tabletop. Right, so decent payout. We could actually get an engine core if we had enough. But I don't think we would be able to get enough. We only had 3 salvage shares. Or maybe it would have been enough. Engines are usually worth a fair bit, so that would have been good salvage to get. We could get part of the spider. Again, this is a YAML thing that gives you salvage parts that's inspired by rogue tech. But again, we'll take the medium lasers, I think. And we can try and upgrade our firepower a bit. There is a mad cat running around at the moment, so if you hear things in the background, that's what that is. So, yeah, Fahad fixed it and immediately I managed to get the barns blown off again, so fantastic. But we did have a spare AC-10, so that's fine. Oh, yeah, I was actually going to see if I could combine the lasers, wasn't I? Go to weapon upgrades for that. And I don't know that we'll upgrade the lasers on the Javelin anymore. We probably will just sell the Javelin for cash at some point. But, yeah, upgrading the lasers on the Centurion is something we absolutely will do. There we go. One slightly better one. 1.4 million. Oof. Okay. Expensive, but hey. That's, you know, that's the difficulty spike of using these mods. Oh no, it's Fahad we need to speak to. I do find it weird how you just, I think I said this already, but how you just kind of glide around the place inside the ship.
Hey there, Gov. I hear we finally got a name for these bastards who've been chasing us down. Black Bloody Inferno, eh? Well, that's a load of bollocks, isn't it? You know what a Black Inferno is? It's bloody smoke, mate. All right then, nice chat. Gonna get back to work now.
Character development. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There was no point to that.
Hi, Commander. Thanks to your efforts, the mining company have kept their word and booked us transport on a jump ship. Spears has also obtained a new mercenary ID number. So, all we need to do now is choose a new name for our merc outfits, and we're good to go. I'll leave that up to you. Once you've registered the new name, come back and see me.
Will do.
Okay, so this is a thing you only get to do once, although I think you can mod it. So you can do it later on. We need to choose a new company name and a new company logo. So this is it. This is the big reveal. This series is actually part of the Mechwarrior cinematic universe because, unbeknownst to you, dear viewer, Mr. Mason's mother's name was in fact Mechwarrior, so he's going to go by his mother's name now, and we're going to call ourselves the Mechwarrior Free Company, because this is, of course, the far, far, far future from the way back when of the Mechwarrior rulers of Scotland, and later on Mechwarrior rulers of a tiny island in the Caribbean, and much like Blackadder, where they've sort of gone downhill over time, now we are, well, we don't have anything to rule over at all, and sadly there is no way to rule over any land in this game, or, you know, take a planet for yourself or anything like that. But at least we have this mercenary company going for us, so that's nice. So there you are. That's the plot twist.
Okay, Commander.
We were Mechwarriors the whole time.
The transport contract with the mining company is a false flag Spears and I set up with their cooperation. The mining company has legally hired us to transport cargo for them. But in reality, there is no cargo. Just a destination and some very convincing paperwork.
So, where are we headed?
We've been asked by Spears to help him out of a jam. I think we owe him.
I agree. What's he need us to do?
Spears works for Interstellar Expeditions, one of the largest archaeological collectives in the Inner Sphere. They do archaeological digs and conduct research into abandoned Star League-era facilities in the pursuit of lost technology from before the Succession Wars. One of the expedition's dig sites has come under attack. A rogue mercenary group is intent on pillaging a Star League supply depot that IE uncovered on Brookland Prime. We're going in to help protect the site. Spears will provide more detailed information on what exactly we're facing once we arrive. For now, I've uploaded the coordinates into the nav system. Before we can launch, you need to sign off on the op and get us to the system.
Roger that.
Okay, but that is going to be for next time. However, we will do one last thing before we actually get started. Get started before we get stopped, before we finish things off. And that is we need a new paint scheme. And, well, I've approximated the tartan Stewarts, so we're going to go with that, unless I have some other brilliant idea. So we'll basically apply that to all mechs. So we're going to have very Scottish-themed mechs. Yeah, totally Scottish. Sadly, you can't put a tam o'shanter on them or a saltire, but this is the closest we can get. I was hoping there'd be some easy way for me to add my own campaign logo, but instead I just got a mod that added a bunch, and so picked the one that you saw. So yeah, we're sort of going to be a bit stereotypically tartan themed, but that's close enough for my purposes. Close enough, although you can't really see it on that. That's a bit of a blackened husk at the moment. So that is it for this first episode. I'm basically doing all of the intro tutorial stuff that the game gets you to do. And yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed this. Hopefully you don't get freaked out by the fact that the black void at the back of the ship that we don't talk about is still there. That's fine, don't worry about it. And if you have enjoyed this, you can do all the usual things down underneath the video. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.